Chevrolet once offered an amazing little crossover SUV, and then they killed it off. What's the deal? Hi, this is Joe from Scarff Ford, and today we're talking about this 2023 Chevy Bolt EUV Premier. Let's dive in. So yeah, in 2023, Chevy announced, okay, we're gonna reduce the prices, I think like $6,500 across the board on all their Bolt products, which was great in making it more affordable. Then not long after, they said that they're gonna discontinue it to make space in their factories to build larger, Sierra and Hummer EVs. Unfortunately, and we can see this trend with a lot of American manufacturers, especially GM brands, not just your EVs, they just have a hard time making small vehicles because they're not profitable for them. They make more of their money on bigger, SUVs and trucks and stuff like that. So unfortunately, the Bolt was killed off, but luckily we have this nice pre-owned example, 2023 Premier, very nicely equipped with features with only 17,664 miles. And the Bolt EUV is a little bit different than the regular Bolt. The regular Bolt is basically just like a hatchback car, where the EUV, which this is more of a crossover SUV. So it's wider, taller, and longer and more spacious than the regular Bolt. So it's basically like a little compact crossover SUV. These things are fantastic, very well received by the automotive press. I think when the Bolt first came out, it was like I don't know if it was the Car and Driver or Motor Trend EV of the year. And they're fantastic. I've bought and sold many of these Bolts over the years. They've been proven to be very durable and robust. I haven't really seen any major issues with them, or I can't say the same for other EV brands from other manufacturers. I won't name names, but overall the Bolt has been very, very reliable. They have a fantastic range when fully charged. They have about a fully charged range of about 250 miles. For some people, that might not seem a lot with some newer EVs with over a 300-mile range, but you just have to understand that most people don't drive more than 50 miles or 100 miles a day. So you don't need to go to the EV charge station when you can charge the EV at your house. So you go home, you plug it in, you go to sleep, you wake up, and it's fully charged. So pretty much your house is like the gas station. It's like your electric toothbrush. When you're done with the electric toothbrush, you put it back in the charger and it's fully charged the next time you use it. That's basically the way EVs work. And if you do need a fast charge, if you do need to go on a road trip, fast charging is all over the place. And this thing can charge about 90 miles of range in a half hour. So obviously it's not as quick as filling up your tank of gas. Charging stations are usually strategically placed by malls and other points of interest. So if I drove 200 or 250 miles, I'd probably want to stop, relieve my bladder, stretch, maybe get some food, get a soda pop or something, walk the dog. So a half hour can go by pretty fast. Obviously if you're driving cross country, which most people don't do, and you're doing like an 1,000-mile road trip, it might get annoying having to charge every 200 miles. But that is a small minority of people. Most people like me, I have an EV, I have a Tesla. I've had a Tesla for 3 years, and I think with all my driving around, driving to Seattle, Tacoma, I live in Puyallup, I've had to fast charge it maybe 4 or 5 times. Not that much, because a 200+ mile range really is a lot for most people for daily use. Most people aren't going to get close to using it up. This is a beautiful example. We have a copy of the original build sheet. Looks like it's almost as loaded as you can get for the 2023 Bolt. The original MSRP was $35,655. The Premier is one of the range-topping trim levels on the Bolt Grade Walk. So then we have the Sun and Sound package. That was $24.95, bundling in lots of great features like a Bose sound system, a panoramic sunroof. You get a Chevrolet Infotainment 3 Plus with navigation. Then we have an illuminated charging port. That was $465. And of course, we have a copy of this original build sheet. This really is a cool color. It's ice blue metallic on this jet black / night shift blue interior. Very nice. And even though the Bolt is a smaller vehicle, this is not compared to GM's other small vehicles like the Chevy Cruze or the Sonic. Even though this is a small vehicle, this has a very premium feel. This was over $30,000. It has more of a high-end feel than most of the other Chevy cars you might have seen or driven or been inside. Nice soft touch materials, lovely perforated leather interior, synthetic leather and stitching in the doors, more synthetic leather in the dashboard, and more synthetic stitching in the dashboard as well. Huge screen for the infotainment system. Excellent parking camera as well as an overhead camera with a composite view. Great for situational awareness. You can pull up different views around the vehicle, making your situational awareness and parking so easy. No excuses for scuffing up those bumpers. Great climate control system. We have heated and ventilated front seats. That's a great feature. Heated steering wheel. Nice leather wrap flat bottom steering wheel. Feels great in your hands. We have this button right here which makes the regenerative braking more aggressive. So on some other EVs, you don't really have much control over the regenerative braking. But here, General Motors, Chevy gives you a lot more control over it. So it looks like a paddle shifter, but you pull this in and that will make the regenerative braking more aggressive, slowing the vehicle down without having to use the actual brakes. Some people don't like the feel of regenerative braking, but that's the thing. We're programmed to the feel of a gas vehicle. EVs are not the same. They might look somewhat similar on the outside as gas vehicles, but on the inside, they're far different. And the awesome thing about EVs with electric motors, you can reverse the polarity of electric motors, turning them into generators, so you can use the electric motors to slow the vehicle down. And normally that kinetic energy you lose through heat through braking, you can recapture that with the regenerative braking and put it back in the battery. So basically what that does, if you want to slow down, you can use this paddle right there. That will pretty much take the vehicle down to a complete stop. And you'd be pretty surprised with regenerative braking. You can do most of your driving, aside from panic stops and more aggressive braking situations, with just regenerative braking. Not only does that make the vehicle more efficient, but another great dividend of that is amazing brake life. You can get a lot longer life out of your brakes with regenerative braking. It's not uncommon for EVs and hybrids. Hybrids also use regenerative braking to have brake life well past 100,000 miles, sometimes past 150,000 miles. And brakes can be one of the biggest maintenance items that you encounter in a vehicle like this. And that's the other thing about EVs. You know, a lot of times when we buy an EV, most people think about, oh, I'm going to save a lot of money charging with electricity versus having to pay for gas, which is very true, especially here in the Pacific Northwest, where it's even more exaggerated because we actually have really high gas prices. We have some of the highest gas prices in the country, sometimes $1 a gallon more than other parts of the country. But on top of that, we have some of the cheapest utility rates because we get a lot of our electricity from hydroelectric, so we can really benefit from EVs. But the other thing is maintenance. Internal combustion engines have thousands of moving parts and they need a lot of dealer maintenance. Electric vehicles, kind of like an appliance. An electric motor has dozens of moving parts, not thousands, so there's no expensive oil changes, no big 30, 60, 90K services, no coolant flushes. You don't have to worry about oil leaks. I can tell you we take a lot of cars in untrade, and usually most cars, when they get to 80, 100,000 miles, they start leaking, seeping oil and coolant. They start having problems because you have all these complex systems and they start to fail. So a lot of times when vehicles get to 100,000 miles, it's not even worth us repairing. We don't want to sell it on our lot, so we send it to the auction. But EVs are actually proving to last longer now these days than gas cars, which is, a few years ago there was all this scary news saying, oh, the EV batteries are going to fail and that's going to be expensive to replace. Well, replacing an EV battery costs probably as much as what it costs to replace a new engine in your car. And the average gas car lasts maybe 150,000 miles. EVs are now going past 150,000 plus past 200,000 miles. They've been, now that EVs have been out for a while and people are racking up the miles, we're finding that they are more reliable than gas cars. The ownership costs are cheaper, and there was a lot of disinformation in news a few years ago, which obviously you don't hear it now these days because all that disinformation is clearly getting proven wrong. Nice aftermarket set of floor mats. We have a power driver's seat. Really beautiful color. I like the black wheels. It has these really nice brake covers that kind of match the exterior color. When the Bolt was redesigned, it was definitely looking better. Facelifted, a little bit more of a curvaceous body. Nice styling. There isn't an engine, but this is where you can access different components for the coolant system and the electrical system. Even though this has a battery and electric motor, it does have a coolant system for the batteries to keep it at a happy temperature to make it more efficient. Lots of space in the rear. I'm 6'2", and it's amazing how much legroom there is in such a small vehicle. Very spacious, very comfortable. You have a USB and USB-C port here. Also have this nice big panoramic roof to allow lots of natural light inside, just kind of elevating your mood. Especially in our overcast climate, it can kind of get dreary and gray out, so more ambient light coming in will definitely make you happier and elevate your mood. Lots of decent amount of cargo space back here. You can remove this cargo area cover and fold down those rear seats for more cargo space. You have a little bit extra storage under here. There's the charger. There's an adapter for a 110 outlet and a 240 outlet. A 110 outlet, you'll probably add about 3 to 4 miles of range per hour. So if you don't drive a lot, you can charge off a regular 110 outlet, household outlet, but I recommend you getting a 240 outlet, which is basically like the same outlet you have for your dryer. An electrician can install one outside or in your garage. And with the provided charger and the adapter, you can get a full charge in about 8 hours. So overnight, you'll have a full charge with a much depleted battery. Well, thanks so much for taking the time today to watch this video. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate any comments. Thanks for watching and hope to see you soon.